So my friend, being the generous bitch they are, who's really sweet, but she's still a bitch, sent me something to restore, and one of their friends found it in a Goodwill, and she thought of me, so I'm gonna restore it. You might be wondering, what is this? It is a Toni doll from Ideal.
I hope you get your little girl a Toni doll. I just love mine.
Oh, you bet she does. Say, you get the famous Toni doll, will you, with nylon hair that you can shampoo and wave? It's yours, you know, for less than half price, only $5. All you have to do is buy a Tonette home permanent to give your daughter pretty curls like Karen has for school. And you show them how pretty they are, honey. Oh, they are real pretty. Then send the Tonette box top with $5 check or money order only to Tonette, Box 3311, Chicago 54, Illinois. And say, be sure you specify blonde or brunette hair, won't you? Offer is limited to the United States and expires December 1st, 1954. So make your little girl as happy as Karen is. And believe me, she's mighty happy. Remember, Tonette, Box 3311, Chicago 54, Illinois. Bye-bye, Karen.
Bye, Mr. Jem.
Thank you, honey.
That was one of the first toy commercials. Wasn't that something? A few of you may still be wondering what in the hell a Toni doll is. Toni doll was made by Ideal from 1949 to 1953. She was made to promote Tonette home permanents for little girls. She was not only a promotional doll, but an educational doll. She taught you how to do your hair and give yourself a home permanent. Back in that time, stick straight hair for women wasn't really in vogue. Women and girls, as well as some men, would get perms to give their hair texture and a wave. Toni dolls, being what they were quite expensive for the time, but she did have a lot of quality and a lot of play value. She was quite sturdy as well. You could also buy fashion patterns to make a whole wardrobe for your Toni. She definitely was one of the most popular dolls of the early 1950s. Toni dolls also could be purchased in many different variations. She came in 14 inches, 16 inches, 19 inches, and 23 inches tall. She came with a basic 5-point articulation, but one version was a walker. Blonde hair, brunette, black, and redhead all have their own variations. The fashions were made with a lot of innovative fabrics, especially nylons. That way, if you did happen to get it wet, you didn't really need to worry that much about getting it dry and pressing it and all of that stuff. And I know that we today kind of point our noses up at nylon and polyester, but at that time, when they were brand new, they were the most expensive fabrics on the market, which shows you how much they cared about the quality. If you're looking for a Toni doll, they do seem to be pretty easy to find. I've seen several in my lifetime just going to flea markets. The price of them fluctuates over the years, I've noticed. Sometimes they'll be really expensive, really sought after, and then other times they'll be like selling for $20. When looking on the secondhand market, though, you do want to be careful because Ideal did use this Toni doll mold for other dolls that they made. But you can tell that it's Toni whenever the hair is nylon. The other dolls will have like a saran type wig. The Toni line, although it came to an end for Ideal in the mid-50s, she lived on in a new form made by the American Character Company. She was now grown up and made to rival Ideal's Miss Revlon dolls and Madame Alexander's Cissy. Toni will live on to not only be a product of her time and a complete time capsule, but also is one of the most successful fashion dolls ever to be made. She may have even been the first hair play doll. Without her, would we have had totally hair Barbie? Yeah, I know it's a stretch, but you know, here we are. I really love Toni dolls. I think that they are so cute and so precious. But when she sent me a picture, I thought it was going to be a 14-inch Toni doll, but this is actually quite large. This probably is like a 20 to 21-inch Toni doll. So let's go ahead and open it up. I've not seen it. I just took it out of the box. Oh my goodness. She's so large and in charge.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Whoa. Okay, yeah, she's gonna need to be restrung. Oh my goodness, look at that wig. But there's her face, super cute. And she has her original costume on, but we're missing the shoes. And ironically, I had a pair of shoes for the Toni doll, probably this size, and I think I sold them, which sucks, but that's okay. That's fine.
Oh my God.
Woo! Oh my goodness, she's gonna be a lot of work, which makes her the last thing I need, but here we go. I do have other dolls to do that are in line before her, but she's kind of a smelly girl and I'd like to see her all cleaned up. Just like with my Barbies, if they do come with clothes, I'm going to go ahead and take off their clothing and then I'm going to prep them to be washed. Since she is quite a large doll and she needs to be restrung anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take her apart. That will make her a lot easier to wash. Once she's all taken apart and ready to go, I'm going to go put her into the bathroom sink. If you all are curious to know what I'm using to clean the dolls, I have a whole doll restoration tutorials playlist where you can find exactly what materials I'm using in depth, but I'll go ahead and share with you what I'm using right now. I'm using Dawn dish soap. You can use any dish soap that you like. You don't even have to use dish soap. You can use a bar soap if you feel like it. But Dawn is said to get out tough grease marks and all of that. And I'm like, ooh, let's put this on a doll. Sounds great. I also use baking soda and that just gives it like a little nice scrub. It also leaves it minty fresh, darling. And after you're done with the baking soda, you want to go ahead and use some Dawn dish soap again just to wash off all the excess. If you don't get off all of the baking soda, your doll's vinyl will look very white and crusty, and we're not going for that look. And if you do like that look, then there's no need to wash it, period. But you know, to each his own. Some people like a more aged look. And by aged, I mean a little bit dirty. And by dirty, I mean they want a doll that really tells a story just by looking at it. And by telling a story, I mean like, you know, the one like in Annabelle. Side note, can I just tell you how sick I am of Annabelle? When I tell anyone that I collect dolls, usually men, they will stand there and then look at me and be like, oh, you mean like Annabelle? Are they haunted? I just think it's really rude to make fun of somebody's passion, especially like after you ask them like what your hobby is, and then you're like, oh, so you must collect those haunted dolls, right? Like, I'm not making fun of you for building that PC, which took you a week so that you can play League of Legends just a little bit better. And I didn't ask you if you were a neckbeard. And so what if my dolls were haunted? Do you think just because you ask me if my dolls are haunted, that saves you from a curse from them? No, they're my precious babies. Why risk offending me? They will come and Annabelle up your whole house. And Ed and Lorraine Warren are not alive anymore. Who's gonna save you? Say for argument's sake that they were haunted and they could get up and move like a Chucky doll. You're over 6 feet tall. What, you don't think you can save yourself from a little piece of plastic? You could literally kick it across the room. And maybe that's why the movie Chucky doesn't scare me, because I'm like, yo, I know how to take a doll apart. I think Chucky would be afraid of me. I will rip out all of his hair and then put it right back in because I can. In fact, I think I keep Chucky up at night. So boys out there who think that it's creepy to collect dolls, do you think that it's wise to offend me? Probably not. In fact, I might even send one to your house.
It's moving.
Just kidding. All light and love over here. If me and my dolls were to curse you, it would probably be a positive curse. One that would wish you would do better. Because most negativity comes from self-hatred. So we would probably just wish you well. But like I said, if you are interested in learning what I'm doing to restore this doll, I do have a dolls restoration tutorials playlist on my channel, which you are more than welcome to go and take a look at. So right now I'm just dunking her hair into boiling hot water. This again is nylon hair, just like the OG nylon hair. So it will withstand heat, not a lot of heat, but it will withstand heat. So it's very similar, this nylon hair is very similar in texture style to a old saran. It's not a poly, it's just a really high quality nylon. This doll was really high quality when she came out, and like I said before, she was just quite popular. This doll, in my opinion, is probably one of the quintessential 1950 dolls from the early 50s. So the first thing I'm going to start on Toni when repainting are her eyebrows. And like I said, you can kind of see the indentation, like where they were originally. This mold does have like a little bit of a raise, and I can even see a little faint line of where the eyebrows were. So I'm going to try to follow that line, but I'm also looking at a picture that you can't see of a P19 Toni, just like this doll, just so that I can get her eyebrows down right. Now these eyebrows, they all will vary. So from Toni to Toni, the face will definitely vary because they were all hand painted. So you don't have to make it stencil perfection. So if it it doesn't look like they are related. Honestly, that's probably better because her eyebrows definitely were not related. I will pop up some pictures so you can look at some of these eyebrows I've seen. I mean, this doll is very beautiful. But those brows, these brows don't even know each other. That's how much they're not related. This girl's super cute, but also super surprised. Now, eyebrows are very important to a doll because they just frame the eyes, and the eyes are one of the most expressive things about a face in general. So you want to be able to get this right. So I am going to start off with a faint line, and then I'm going to go over it in a minute. When you're repainting your doll, no matter what type of a doll, you do want to dilute that paint. That way you have better control over the paint, and you also don't have any streaks. As majority of this doll was airbrushed, such as her cheeks and her lip color, her eyelashes and her eyebrows were all hand painted and always look very unique. Since they are hand painted, there really is no way to make them picture perfect because they were always unique to begin with. Eyebrows and eyelashes and lips can always change up the expression of your doll's face. So as long as you do something that you're proud of, then I don't think you have anything to worry about. But just remember, you will always get better with practice. I'm pretty pleased with these actually. In the factory, the workers would just go whoosh, whoosh. I don't know how they did it. Well, I mean, they never looked like sisters. The Ideal Toni doll's eyebrows always looked a little bit sus at best. She's looking a little bit less like Baby Jane Hudson now.
You miserable.
So we're going to go ahead and do the rest of her face paint. So here I'm going to be doing some concealing. She had a couple spots on her face, a little few dings here and there, and we're going to try to conceal those up. This would be great if I had an airbrusher, but alas, I do not. So we're going to have to do it the very creative way. Makeup artists always say that your finger is the best tool that you ever have when applying your makeup. Sometimes it's the same with everything else you do. Do you all know awkward silence? Let me introduce you. There, wasn't that fun? In all seriousness, I am pretty pleased with how this concealing trick is going. Again, I wish I had an airbrusher, but you know what? That's just something else to get later down the road. Let's do the bottom ones first. I'm going to try to stay in between the actual lips that were there because the lips were actually done with a stencil. That you can tell. The lips were airbrushed, so this is where you really do not want to see any streaks. Just remember to keep your paint diluted. Okay, this doll is now done. In the face. So let me start off by saying that restringing dolls can get a little bit tricky. When I first started restringing dolls, I didn't know that there was like particular elastics to go with each size of doll. So I was using one type of elastic and all my dolls came out loosey-goosey and I was like, oh no, how did this happen? But that's how it happens. You have to get the right size elastic cord for the size of your dolls. Now this doll is very hard to film because I do not have the space for a 19-inch doll like this is. I'm able to record more if it's 11.5 inches like Barbie. So just bear with me with the funky camera angles. But when you get the right elastics and you kind of like get into your own motion, it becomes easier and easier and easier to restring dolls. Just like with everything we do here, do not get discouraged, and if you mess up, just try again. So now that Toni's wig is ready to be styled, let's actually look into what the original Toni doll would have come with. The original Toni doll would have come with this Toni Play Wave kit. Back in the 1950s, this is how your perm solution would come to you. But this one is for children. Obviously, this one is for the Toni doll. This is an exact replica of the Toni Wave Kit, just in child-sized form. On here it says never use real home wave solution for your Toni doll, only use play wave solution. It's fun to give a play wave, Toni play wave. So you've got like a picture of what the doll, I guess, is supposed to look like, although she looks way prettier than that. And on the back it's got nothing. Okay, so if you open it right up here, oh, and check this out. Look at that. This is Toni and package design are trademarks of the Toni Company. The Toni Company Chicago, a division of the Gillette Company, which Gillette is still in business. All right, so this is what you would get. You would get your curlers. This doll was in production for many years, so there are many different variations of the hair curlers. I have this type. And you can actually go ahead and like get these on eBay. These are just the regular Toni hair curlers. You could still find these today. And they're not expensive. They are like $10, I believe, for like a package of 42. And let me tell you, they give out the most authentic wave on 1950s dolls, and I always come back to use them. So the Toni doll, this would have been her play solution. Now, I've not cleaned out this play solution, and I'll tell you what it's actually made of. So this play solution right here is actually just sugar and water. And that was your play solution. So it shows you right here, contents, teaspoon of sugar, 1/3 cup of water. So that's what you would put on your Toni's nylon wig. And that would be sort of like a hairspray, or think of as today like a mousse is how you would apply it onto the doll's hair. Now I have some extras in here. I have a little hair net that I'm going to put on my Toni doll whenever the time comes, that way to protect her little curls. But she would have come with little hairpins. I've got little hairpins in here, little barrettes. She would have come with maybe like 4 hairpins, and these would have been the tissue. So this is just tissue paper, and this is what you would wrap the ends of the hair in, would be these little play tissues. Now I've never used the play tissues before because it's just tissue paper. You could go out and make your own with tissue paper, and that's how I used to do my waves. Then I started using half a ply of paper towel roll, and honestly, it works better because I feel like I'm being more green because you can reuse them more than once, so you're not using a lot. So over here we have directions for the Toni Play Wave Kit. So we see a little girl so excited about her Toni dolls. So when we open this up, it gives you things to do in each step. Let's go ahead and read this first. A note to mother. Toni Play Wave lotion is harmless. It's made of sugar and water and is absolutely safe in the hands of children, but never let your child play with real home permanent waving lotion. Notice that the bottle of Toni Play Wave lotion is not full. This is to keep the bottle from breaking if the lotion freezes while it is being sent from the factory to the store. To make more Play Wave lotion, just mix 1 teaspoon of sugar with 1/3 cup of sugar. Look what's in your Play Wave kit. Toni cream shampoo, 12 midget spin curlers in paper, and Play Wave lotion. Ask mother for comb and cotton, towel and a cloth, small dish, some hairpins, and a ribbon. Ready to start your Toni Play Wave? Take off your doll's dress before you start her Play Wave, and you'd better pin a towel around her shoulders so she won't get too wet. Open all the midget spin curlers by unsnapping them at the ends. This will be our first step. Wet your Toni doll's hair with warm water, spread some Toni cream shampoo on the palms of your hands and rub it into her hair. Rinse the suds away, then shampoo and rinse again. Rub her hair gently with a towel till it's nearly dry. Flip it out like this. Now comb your doll's hair into 3 sections. The picture shows you how to pin and tie the 2 front sections out of the way so you can wind the curls in the back first. Pour about half of the Play Wave into a dish. Put the top back on the bottle until you need more lotion. Step 3. Part your hair in the back into 4 neat and even blocks. Dip a piece of cotton into the dish of lotion. Wet the first block of hair just as in the picture. When you are sure it's very wet, comb the hair smooth. Now, it doesn't mention this, but it did come with a little comb. It looked like tortoiseshell, but rainbow. And my set did not come with that still, but that's okay. Step number 4. Now fold an end paper around the wet hair, slide it down until it just barely covers the tip ends of the hair. The 3 little pictures show you just how to do it. So basically do what I've been doing. So the way that I curl my hair, actually, this little paper, I've had this for years now, taught me how to do my doll's perms. So who would have thought? Number 5, next pick up an open curler. Put the part of the curler with the little teeth under the end of the paper. Now roll the curler under all the way to your doll's head. Bring the clasp of the curler up and over the curl and snap it shut. It's easy, isn't it? Step number 6. Roll the 3 other back curls the same way, then roll 3 curls on each side in the front, 6 front curls in all. You will have some hair left over in the back. Roll it into 2 more curls. Pour all the rest of the Play Wave lotion into the dish. Use the cotton to wet each curl again. Number 7. Now your Toni doll will have to wait 3 hours while her Toni Play Wave takes. The time will go faster for her if you read her a story, let her take a nap, or maybe play house with her. Step number 8. When the 3 hours are over, press each curl with a dry towel. Fill your dish with plain water. Do not unwind your doll's curls yet. Dip another piece of cotton into the water and get every curl a little damp. And that's because at this point in time, the sugar water would have dried up and become incredibly sticky like hairspray. Now it's time to take down your Toni doll's curls. Open a curler by unsnapping the ends and the clasp. Carefully unroll the curl, unwind each curl the same way. Step number 10, comb your doll's hair very gently, so you won't disturb the wave much until it is all dry. When her hair is all dry, you can comb it into any style you like. It's fun to comb her hair the same way you wear yours. Then you and your doll can be just like Toni twins. So this doll was not only a promotional doll, this was an educational doll. Think of like an original concept for the American Girl. Very intriguing, very interesting to see this stuff. I'm so glad that this was so well preserved in this little kit so that I could learn from it. And it taught me, you know, like, again, when I first started to do restoration, there were no videos. There might have been a few, but they were few and far between. This stuff really helped me out so I could learn what to do, because when I was a kid, we didn't buy Barbie Bazaar. We didn't see all of that stuff because they were expensive and my mother knew I wouldn't take care of it. So I never got to read like the helpful hints and stuff of what people would do. And by the time that the internet came out, you know, I remember there was somebody saying on some website, I probably had to be like 11 or 12 at this point, and they had some sort of like container, and in this container was like some magic solution that would clean up all your dolls and all that stuff. And I still don't know what that magic solution was, but it's very interesting to see how, you know, how far I've come at least, and how I'm trying to help everybody else out there. This is more for everybody to learn and for everybody to play with your dolls again, because you don't need to be afraid of really breaking them if you know what you're doing and if you have the confidence enough to do it. And I hope that my videos give you some sort of confidence to where you feel like you too can do this to your dolls, because I know you can. Because I know if I can do it, so can you. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use these curlers. Actually, for my Toni doll, I love using these curlers. They are probably my favorite curlers. I have broken these curlers a few times, but the plastic does really well if you super glue it back together, which is a blessing. Let's count and see if I actually have 12 midget spin curlers. I remember trying to do this to my original Toni doll, and I would always run short of curlers because I always wanted to add more curlers than what I had. In the box, we do have the 12 curlers that the instruction guide said that we would need. I feel like I'm gonna need more because I do have rather a large doll. This Playwave kit came with the 14-inch doll, by the way. I'm not too terribly worried. I do have my own curlers for this. So let's go ahead and get started by doing our Toni doll's hair. So the Toni hair instructions were very specific on doing work on wet hair. And I read it and you all heard it, but for some reason, it just did not compute with my big brain. It's one of those situations where, you know, you're like, oh, I know better, I can do this. But instructions are there for a reason. You don't have to follow them, you know, per code, but it would have been nice if I had actually just followed it to code and my life would have been a lot easier. Especially whenever I took out the curls, but you know, we'll get there when we get there. So with 1950s hair, you want to do each curl a little bit different. You want to do a curl that's curled under and then one that is curled up. You want them to be side by side. And that constant mismatch of curls will create that wave that we're looking for. Also, the instructions wanted us to do this with 12 hair curlers, and this large doll has way too big of a head for just 12 hair curlers. At least that's what I think, but what do I know? I did end up using my own curlers and then a mix of the Toni hair curlers. Unfortunately, I did break a few Toni hair curlers while trying to curl this doll's hair, and I'm kind of wondering if the larger dolls came with larger Toni hair curlers, because I can see the 12 being used just for the 14-inch doll, but for this 19-inch doll, it is really asking for a lot. Because if the curlers don't break, if they don't snap in half like they did, then they don't close all the way. So just take the instruction manual with a grain of salt and use whatever curler is more comfortable for you. And remember, this is a collector piece today, but at the time, it was a play doll. So do not feel bad about playing with it. And the more you play around with it, the better you will get at it. And lucky for all of us, these wigs are very sturdy. And the hair quality is pretty amazing for how old it is. So just like with every restoration we do, I'm gonna tell you the same thing, and that is to have fun. So now that that's all done, I'm going to go ahead and just boil wash her. Now I could add the sugar and water mixture together, but again, I don't really want it that sticky. And plus, there's some bits of the hair that were pretty straight, so I really do think they need a proper perm. After the perm was done, I'm going to set it using my diluted gel. And that will help the hair hold the new style. A lot of you asked me how I make my own diluted gel, so this will be our faux Toni fake permanent. So I'm gonna go in here to make our solution. So this is how I make my diluted gel. I take a little bit of Got to Be Glued. Love this hair gel. Do a little dollop in there. See, little dollops all it takes. I'm gonna take some water. Fill it up. Now this bottle right here is actually from, I believe, what, L'Oreal or something like that. Yeah, whenever I used to dye my hair with box dye hair, they would come with these little perfect bottles that you would put the color in to get all of the hair color onto your hair. And I thought to myself a long time ago, I said, wow, that would be really perfect for my dolls. So I've had it ever since. But there you go. And now we just made the perfect diluted gel, and this hair gel will last you for a very long time. So I'm going to leave the Toni doll drying for however long she needs it, and I'm going to work on her costume. So this is Toni's dress out of the wash, and I hand washed this with some mild soap and OxiClean, and a lot of the stains came out. It was heavily stained. Now, some of the problems it does have is like it has some minor fraying here and there, which we're going to cut off, and it has a couple little, you know, holes in the lace, which we can sew up and kind of complete. So it's really no big deal. So like structurally, there's nothing wrong with this garment. Now, it does have elastic that is dry rotted in there. As you can see, it's all stretched out. It's really not great. You could go into this costume right here and you could take out that seam and put in a new elastic, it really wouldn't be that difficult. But seeing that I do have so many other projects to do, and this one isn't one that is high priority for me, I'm going to do what I call quick fix. So doing this a quick fix, you can take some of your elastic thread if you have it, however much thread you want, and we're going to put it onto a needle. I'm going to take one end right here. Okay, so we're going to put this through a needle like so. Now you can see, I don't know if you can see this or not, but it is a zigzag type of a seam right there. So I'm going to go in actually, and I'm going to go through the zigzag. Now, if you wanted, you could go through with a stronger elastic, like a cord elastic, if you'd like. That could also be another quick fix. This is how I fix my Terry Lee doll sleeves sometimes with this kind of elastic, because it is really quick to do and it's not invasive, so you're not like actually taking out the seams and all of that of this garment. When restoring dolls, don't be afraid to be experimental. Use your creativity when you can, and if it's appropriate, especially like if it's non-invasive, like this does not bother me. If I were doing this for a client, it would be a different story. I would let the client decide on what they would like me to do, and most cases, most clients probably would like new elastic. But sometimes some clients want everything just to be original. So there we go. So look at the difference now compared to if you just left it as is. It's got a nice little poof to it again. So what you do now is you just tie it off like you would. Just cut off the extra, and it's perfect. It's ready to go. So I'm going to do that to the other sleeve. So I've cut all the loose threads and frays off of this garment, at least that you can see visually. They were just distracting me, and I just couldn't get over it personally. I was getting fixated on it. So now we're going to get started on sewing up this lace. Okay, so I've got my cotton thread ready to go. You can see it's just ripped right along here. So I'm going to take this little needle and just go along the edge of the lace. I'm not going to pull hard on it. I'm just going to add it back together. Not pulling hard on it whatsoever. There we go. See? I've got 2 more spots to do that with, so I'm going to do that off camera, and then we'll get back to ironing her dress. Let me start off by saying that I'm not the master at ironing whatsoever. So I really have no insight to give, no lessons to teach, nothing of anything. I should probably take some lessons. But what I do know that I need to invest in are the little irons that you can get at Joann Fabrics or any other type of hobby shop. They are these little itty bitty irons that are perfect for getting into small creases. And I wish that I would just go ahead and bite the bullet and invest in one of those. They would be most helpful with vintage Barbie fashions, but I'm sure they could be useful for other doll fashions as well. But like I said, I'm not the best at ironing, but I do think that it makes a restoration look nice and polished. So we have her little dress all done now. It's all starched and pressed and ready to go. The elastic is looking great and the lace is looking flawless. What a difference she already looks compared to how she came. I have her resting on one of my little pillows, and I've got like layers of a hand towel down so that way it can soak up some excess water from her hair because she is still quite damp in the wig department, but she's gonna be really cute. It is the end of the day for me. I will be working on her later tomorrow. I'm thinking about making her some socks and making her shoes next, and of course making her a pair of bloomers. And then after that, she should be done. It's been a good amount of time and her hair is dried now, and I found her a pair of Mary Janes. Now these are very similar to the Ideal shoes that she would have had. Now the Ideal shoes would have had like some sort of like filigree or something right here, like some type of floral thing, and it wouldn't have that extender right there, and then on the bottom heel it would say Ideal. But this is very similar to something that she would have had. Now I do believe that this doll did originally have oil canvas type shoes, ones with little snaps in the center, but again, I mean, I wasn't able to find her rayon socks, so I'm not really too worried about having these rubber shoes, which is of the time period, so it does pretty much match with her. But now that Toni's hair is dry and we've read her a story, I think it's time that we take them out of the curlers and then we brush it out. Let's go ahead and take out these curlers. Be honest, who does she remind you of?
Jesus Christ.
I seem to forgot how the instructions said to take it out whenever her hair was still damp. Here it is dry, and honestly, I don't think it could get any worse. I stand to be corrected. It could get worse. The instructions really said to damp the hair before you take out the curlers, and they really meant that. But that's okay, because we can fix it. Although, to be honest, this did remind me of a scene from The Golden Girls, and I literally was cracking up.
Eduardo, you've done it again. And again. And again.
And there we are, but what is Toni without a satin or rayon bow? And here she is. She is absolutely so adorable. She's so much of her time. Take a look at that hair. Now, I will say with this hair, it really means it whenever it wants you to do it damp. I did not do it damp, I did it dry, and it was just very fluffy everywhere. So the instructions are definitely a guide in how to make the doll's hair play process a lot easier, because you do not want to do it the way I did it, where it was dry, like where it was all frizzy and stuff. It really wasn't that much fun to do all dry, but whenever I did this previously to my Toni doll that I've had for a while, I did have a lot of fun with it. So I do recommend this doll to get. I think she is really cool. I can see why she was such a success, You could just do this over and over and over again. And also, there were no dolls like this at the time. This was the first hair play doll. So that is really cool to see. A neat little trick that I do whenever I just gave my dolls a permanent wave is I take a little hairnet and I put it in the back just to, number one, contain all the doll's curls, but also number two, to make it look even more polished, because if you pull it in the back, it makes the curls look even tighter than what they are. Do you see? Yeah, so this is how I usually do my 1950s dolls. So that is Toni and her Play Wave kit. What do you all think? Is this a doll that you would have asked for as a child? Is this a doll that is not your cup of tea? Let me know down in the comments. I think she's a very integral part of doll history. I think that this doll does deserve her bag. She deserves her coin and her credit. So I think we do need to make it to where credit is due. She's a very sweet doll. She is a time capsule. She is very much of her time. And therefore, I do think that we should respect her for what she is. Because without hair play dolls like this, how would we have ever had Totally Hair Barbie? I want to thank you all so much for watching. I know this is off the beaten path of what I usually do, but here we are, and I think it turned out pretty well. And I will continue to do these larger dolls from the 50s, and then I will lead up to Cissy whenever I feel very confident enough with my filming. I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your day. Keep checking back. Make sure you're subscribed. Please leave a comment, a like, and share. I will have new videos for you every single week. And I hope you all stay fabulous. Bye-bye. Also, big shout out to Aurora for sending me this doll and being fabulous.